Today we will try to understand what is first house in mundane astrology. You may think, what do you mean by first house at all? Right? When you see a birth chart of a country, right? Whenever a country uh, gets independence, that day and that time is considered as the birth time of that particular country, and that is the birth chart of that particular country, right? So we will try to understand. So the first house is the lagna of that particular birth chart. Of course, this is much similar to the natal astrology or the personal astrology that you uh, really observe, right, in the normal horoscopes of an individual. But when you consider the birth chart of a country, what do you mean by that first house? First house is, of course, the ascendant house, right? And in Sanskrit, it is called as Lagna, right? Lagnasthana, you say, right? It's the Lagna house. So, what it actually indicates in mundane astrology? So, in mundane astrology, this is actually the ruler's chair. It represents the ruler's chair and also the common people, right? So, the common people, in the sense, the attitude of the common people means how they are feeling currently, how they are actually perceiving the conditions of the country, right? So, that depends on the first house, the Lagna house, right? And the general conditions of the country. What are the general conditions? General conditions in the sense, the people's health, the people's transportation, and also the basic health services, the basic food services, the agriculture, right? These are the common, the most general conditions of a country. So if Lagna house is afflicted, then you can understand there would be a lot of chaos in the country. Means the attitude of the common people is not good. Means they are not happy with the basic health services. They would not be happy with the transportation or the agriculture, the food services, the food they are getting in the country, right? So first house is that one. It represents the ruler's chair and also the attitude of the common people, how they are actually perceiving the conditions, the general conditions of the country, and also what are the general conditions of that country. It also includes, right, uh, the the law and order present in the country, the law and order, right? Because to maintain some general conditions, you need some law and order to be maintained, right? So it also indicates the type of the ruler. So if the first house, the Lagna house, is not so good, if it is malefic, then you can directly say, the ruler of the country is not good. Even if he is good, because of the conditions of the country, he will become bad. He will become worst if the Lagna is not so good. Because every person, it's good and bad. It depends on the situation. It depends on the conditions that you are exposed to, right? So if the conditions are worst, then it's literally it's very difficult to maintain the emotions of that ruler. So ultimately, he would become bad if the Lagna is not good, if the first house is not good, if the first house has some malefic aspects, or if the first house has some malefic planets. And if the Lagna is not good, then ultimately the ruler is going to be bad, and even the ruler is going to be worst, even. So it represents the ruler's chair. Ruler's chair in the sense it is not just the chair, it is actually the the behavior of that particular ruler. Means whoever sits in the chair, how he is going to behave. Right? If the Lagna house is very good, it's very pleasant, it's very benefic in nature, then you can definitely say the ruler is going to be good ultimately because of the conditions. Even if he is bad, he will encounter situations that turn him into a good person. That is the energy of Lagna. That is the energy of this particular first house. Right? So, and also why the common people attitude is also very important, because if the attitude of the common people is not good, then they may elect a bad person. They may elect a very bad person as their ruler. Right? So all these things are interlinked. The ruler's chair, the ruler's behavior, the general conditions of the public, like health, food, the common transportation, right, the law and order, all these things are interlinked. So let us say law and order is not good, the general conditions are not good, then ultimately the people's attitude is going to be changed, and they may become very dangerous to the ruler. People would become very dangerous to the ruler if the general conditions are not good. And if the general condition, why the general conditions are not good? Because the ruler is bad. If the ruler is good, he should always try to maintain some harmony in the country. He should always maintain, should always ensure the best, if not at least the minimum and the average general conditions of the public. Right? So that is why the common people's attitude and also the ruler's chair and the rulership, the type of the ruler, all these things are interlinked and they are associated with the first house. So if you want to know a country, the behavior of that country, how is that country, just the Lagna is the main. Lagna means the first house is the main point of contact for us. So just take any country's birth chart, means when the country was formed, or when the country was officially announced, or when the country got independence, right? So you just check the birth chart of a country, then you can understand the first house, the power of the first house. Right? So ruler's chair is actually the ruler's behavior. Ruler's chair is actually the ruler's behavior. The public, how much confidence the public are having on the ruler, how much support the public is going to give to that particular political party or that particular ruler. Right? So, and also it represents the strength of the cabinet. Right? So if the strength of the cabinet is not good, then the ruler would ultimately become weak and the general conditions are not going to be maintained, and it will ultimately lead to some political unrest, some public unrest also. Right? So it represents the image of that particular ruler. It represents the behavior of the ruler, how the people are actually thinking about the ruler. Right? So if it is very good, then yes, you can understand the people are going to think very positive about the ruler, and also he would maintain some harmony in the country. And even more, if it is very much beneficial, the first house is very good, then you can directly understand he is going to maintain a very good relationship with the foreign countries also, and ultimately it would fetch a lot of benefits to the country. Right? So the ruler's chair is very much important, you can understand. Right? And also the common people, how the common people are actually perceiving or understanding the behavior. Right? The consciousness they have, the behavior, the attitude, of that particular country, because that is very much important. Common people are very much important, because if the common people are uh, not perceiving the ruler fine, then ultimately it would lead to some disasters, some emergencies, right? So the public unrest. So it is very much important. The first house is very much important, so that the public health, those are all the law and order, right? All those things are maintained peacefully, right? So it also represents the public welfare initiatives that government is going to take, um, right? So you may think, uh, let us say the ruler's birth chart is different, and the ruler's and the country's birth chart is different, right? You may think this way, but even so, if you ask me which is more prominent, which is going to take more priority here, the country's birth chart or the ruler's birth chart? And the answer is the country's birth chart. The country's birth chart is very much important than the ruler's birth chart. Even if the ruler's birth chart is excellent, even if he is very good, but if the country's birth chart is not good, and also if you observe the transits, the transits that are happening currently, right? If, let us say, in the current transits, a very big planet like Jupiter is coming into the first house and it is debilitated in the general transit, right? So how we check the current transits? Means we call it as desha gochara, right? So how we check the current transits? So let's take the birth chart of a country. You fix the lagna, and you impose the current planetary positions on that chart. You impose the current planetary positions on that chart. So if, let us say, in the lagna, so currently Jupiter is debilitated, right? Jupiter is debilitated in the Capricorn, and also sitting with Saturn, conjoined with Saturn. And if you observe, any country is having this particular Capricorn ascendant, means the country's birth chart has Capricorn as its first house. Capricorn as its first house. Then the current transit, Jupiter is coming into the first house itself, and also it is debilitated currently. So it is not at all good for the country, right? It is not at all good for the country. And even more, how we analyze the country's future. At the time of birth of that particular country, the first house was afflicted, means a bad planet was sitting there at the time of birth itself, at the time of birth of the country itself. Then it is going to continue. Right? Throughout the life of that country. Let us say a country's birth chart, take country's birth chart, the first house, at the time of birth of that country, the first house was filled with benefic planets, right? Now, in the transit, now I am going to impose the current planetary position onto that particular birth chart. Now, let us say a bad planet is coming, a malefic planet is coming and sitting in the first house, a debilitated planet. Then I will give 50 marks to the benefic nature, because at the time of birth of that particular country, benefic planets were sitting in that particular lagna house, or you can say the first house. But now in the current planetary positions, whenever you are imposing the current planetary positions on the birth chart of a country, now the planetary energies that are pumping into that particular first house are not good, then, right? So it is giving negative impact, and at the time of birth of that particular country, because of the benefic planet's presence, there is a positive energy, right? There's a collision, or there is a, you can say, there is a deposition of this particular positive energy because of the birth chart of the country, and there's a deposition of the negative energy because of the current planetary positions. So the results are going to be mixed because of the first house. Of course, we need to analyze the remaining houses as well, but currently we're talking about the first house alone, right? You got it? Let us say at the time of birth chart, at the time of birth of the country, the birth chart, the first house filled with all the benefic planets, so all the positive energy pumping into the first house. And now the current planetary positions are also very good. And whenever I am imposing the current planetary positions on the birth chart of the country, the first house is filled with some more benefic planets, then yes, what a beautiful energy in the first house. All the benefic planets, 100 out of 100, right? So in that case, I can say the ruler's chair, right? The ruler's chair is going to be flourished. The common people are going to, prize the ruler. There would be a lot of harmony in the country, right? So all the people are going to prize the ruler, and also the general conditions of the public is going to be very good, and also the public health is going to be very good, right? If all the positive energy is positive. So what I am looking here, I am looking at the birth chart of the country, and also I am looking at the current planetary positions of that particular country. So whenever you are trying to get the birth chart of a country, what is the place you need to fix there? Is the capital of the country, right? So whenever you want to analyze the chart of a country, you always pick up the capital of that particular country. So let us say a country got independence on 1930, Jan 15th Jan, then you just put the place as the capital of the country, right? So country's birth, in the sense the country got independence that time, or the country was officially, means, and the country was officially announced that time, right? Or the country was actually formed that time. So basically you say whenever they got independence, or whenever they officially announced the country was formed, that time is actually considered as the birth time of the country, and the place of birth is definitely the capital of the country. The capital of the country. And you can always see the current planetary positions in the country, right? You can always, based on today's date. Or you can impose these planetary energies on the birth chart of that particular country, and you can analyze the future of the particular country, right? So let us say the first house is not so good, means it is afflicted. Then you can directly say the country is not going to do anything good. The ruler is not going to do anything good for the people, and the basic services of the country always in toss. And the national objectives are disturbed. The public health is disturbed. The common people's attitude is different, is completely disturbed. And you may expect things like wars and economic downtowns, corruptions, emergencies, all the bad you can expect, right? So this is actually the image. The the clear picture of the country. The first house is actually how the country is, what is the image of that particular country. You just name a country, people directly, directly get to the core of that country, get to the core concept of the country. If I just say India, what do you say? India is, okay, India is spirituality, right? The one term, one sentence you say this one: spirituality, the religion, right? So that is the, so you can understand now. You just check the how when India got independence, how when India was really announced, it was formed. You just check that birth chart and you can relate to this behavior. India is nothing but people's understanding is India is religious. India is spiritual. India has a lot of culture, right? That is India. Nobody says India is a very rich country, Nobody says that. You can see that in the birth chart if you just analyze, right? India has peace, right? So how the peaceful conditions in India? Just analyze. Just name a country, USA. Oh, USA is a rich country in the world, right? The supreme country. And somebody say USA is the most spiritual country in the world? No, nobody says that, right? That is the image of the country. So how the image is formed? Because so in order to form an image, the first house is going to play a very, very important role. So what are the national objectives of a country? Just try to understand, okay, what is India? What is India? What are its national objectives? Okay, it is trying to make some amicable relationships with Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, China. Nepal, right? Because these are the allies. These are the neighbor countries of the, not allies, of course. These are the neighbor countries of India. So India is trying to maintain some good relationship with these countries, right? But of course, it always has some problem with Pakistan. It always has some problems with, may not be always, but sometimes it has problems with China, right? It depends. So what is the national object? So how the people of India, some people work for military, and some people, some people are industrialists, and some people, they always want to work for USA. They want to go to USA and serve people in the USA, and they want to get some money. And also some people of India, they are mainly in the food industry, because agriculture is the one of the good things in India, right? So this is the image you get. And India has a lot of temples, means religious. There are so many yogis in India, so many spiritual gurus in India. In the whole world, the country that has produced most spiritual gurus is India, right? And how is technology in India? And technology in India is not so bad, not so good, but it is decent enough. It is able to serve some countries. It is able to produce some products, not. So how is manufacturing in India? Is it able to produce the world's best car? No. No, but at least it is able to produce some cars that are decent enough to travel in India, at least, right? And how is the production, manufacturing? How is the services in India? How are the people in India, especially? Are they cunning? Are they good? Are they always wait for a moment and take advantage of that moment? And how is the ruler of the country? Is he good? Is he trying to maintain some good relationship with all the countries? And most importantly, how is the relationship between India and USA? USA, the number one country in the world, right? How is it maintaining the relationship? So this is actually the image. So whenever you go outside, people, so just talk about India. India is spiritual, India is religious, India is rich in culture. They talk about peace, they talk about Mahatma Gandhi, right? And currently they are talking about Narendra Modi, right? So this is how India has some image. And you just talk about USA. Okay, USA is the largest is one of the best producers of the software products. WhatsApp is from India. WhatsApp is from USA. Facebook is from USA, and also YouTube from USA, right? Apple, the company that is producing a lot of laptops, iPhones, right? USA, right? People talk about USA this way. So, okay, software technology is very much good in USA, and people have a lot of money. The dollar is dominating the world. It's rich, right? So that is the image. And you just talk about Germany. Okay, Germany is a very, uh, technologically somewhat good. Means Mercedes-Benz is from Germany. And also how the religious activities in Germany is very much rich in religion. Can you say that? So euro is of course more than the dollar, and the people are of course a bit rich. Germany is also one of the richest countries, right? So even the German people like Albert Einstein, they are good in research, right? They are good in research. They are good in thinking. They are good in constructive thinking. See, just imagine the product Mercedes-Benz. See the product. So, if any country wants to produce a product like that, how much work, the constructive work with a lot of discipline they would have done. Just imagine, right? So, this is how the image of a country is established. You just name some country, and they just say, oh, that country is very bad, the people are very arrogant, and all the country situation is very bad, and the ruler is very bad, and it always wants to do war with another country. It is promoting terrorism. If some country has this kind of image, then just check its birth chart. You just relate it. You can just relate it, right? So the first house is about image of a country, the ruler's chair, how the people are behaving, the people attitude, how the people are perceiving the situations, how the people are thinking about the ruler. Are they supporting the ruler or not? How the public health, how the transportation, the minimum basic services, the general conditions, right? These are all you can understand by using the first house. The national objectives, what are the objectives of that particular nation, where the country is actually heading to. Is it heading to the progress, or is the so that kind of things you can understand. So if the first house is afflicted, whoever is the ruler is always interested in doing some wars. Okay, let's have some fun with wars, and let's distract our own country. This kind of negative thinking, this kind of worst thinking the ruler may possess if the first house is afflicted. The energies are very much important. You're talking about astrology, so energies are very important. You should believe the energies are going to turn the whole world. The planetary energies are very much important, and they are going to kill anyone in the whole world. They are going to create worse situations, and they can also create the beautiful situations. The planetary energies. right? Because you are talking about astrology, so the planetary energies are ruling this entire earth. Earth is actually earth is actually is flowing in the energies of these planetary, is flowing. Earth is flowing in the planetary energies. The people on earth are actually experiencing these planetary energies. That is astrology. That is astrology and nothing else. Every object on the earth is experiencing the planetary energies, the 9 planetary energies. Right? So that is astrology, and that is the most fundamental thing in the astrology. Right? So that is about first house. Now in our next video, we'll try to understand the second house, right? What second house actually indicates. So remember, the first house is actually the ruler. The first house is afflicted, that's gone. The ruler is gone. Is going to the people are going to come and directly say, the ruler, you are just unfit, please get down. First house is afflicted. Ruler's chair is always in some dilemma, right? It's always in dilemma, and the people are not happy with the basic conditions. They always come to the ruler, please get down, please get down. This is the, there's a severe public unrest always. Just check the different countries' birth chart and analyze the first house. You will come to know. And in our next video, we'll try to understand the second house, right? The house of finance of a country. Thank you.